do we really need diaries in 21st century? Like, diaries. Seriously? The thing that keeps information about you that is not intended for others to see is too private and can make you feel really clumsy if someone would read it without your permission. The thing that puts your darkest secrets under the risk of being exposed. Do we need the useless item which is written not to be read by anyone? Majority of world's population does not write diaries. Some think they don't need it, and others argue it's a sign of the weakness. And some write diaries but prefer not to talk about it. And also there are people who write diaries for others to read it, so what exactly is diary? Do we really need it? I write a diary, and there are many reasons why I do this. So different people may have diaries for different reasons. Like exist organizers, which are for making plans in case not to miss anything. And such type of diaries are owned by really busy people just like me. However, today we're going to talk about the diaries that are recorded every day. So such type of diaries are mainly used by teenagers, scientists, or elderly, simply ones having a rich fantasy or just have something to share. And this doesn't mean that people at any age can't have a diary. They have diary to cope with the inner problems and acquire spiritual peace. You know, there are situations when a person suffers from the problem that's not really ethical to talk about, and he can't hold these emotions inside. While problems may be conscious or subconscious. And usually under the emotional pressure, it's really hard to face these problems. So there are different ways to cope with them. It's a talk with a psychologist, an open talk with a friend, or writing about it on paper. So talk with a psychologist, it's not that easy in our country as the institution of psychologists is not developed much. And what about talk with a friend? You're never insured as your secret may be spread to the public. And I'm telling you this with my, let's say, not really good thing happened to me, okay? So what about writing about your problems on the paper? Actually, it's a really effective way and usually is recommended by psychologists. Once, I think about 2 years ago, my mom didn't let me visit my friend. So it was a big disaster for me. I thought I was very miserable and I was already going to go to my mother and start screaming about her being the worst mom there is. However, thanks God, a blue thing on my table distracted my attention. This was just an ordinary pen, and I do not know why, but I took this pen, I started to write, and the last sentence I wrote that day was, "I'm dumb. I do not appreciate what I have." Well, how funny it may seem, such diaries are not written for amusement. It might influence on the global development or even have a medical effect. So many secrets have been revealed by help of such diaries, as for instance, Da Vinci's diary. Modern planes are based on the sketches found in Da Vinci's diary. Also, we have Anne Frank's diary, which does not let us help what fascism, war, and violence is. You know that moment in life when you just have to stop and flick through your past life. In such cases, diaries are priceless companions. Like, there's no such adult that's never wanted to be a child once more. Even I wanted, and I'm just 16. And diary has a magical power. It's written in such detailed way that it makes you feel everything once again being read. I read for a long time, like the day when I first went to Disneyland, it was an unforgettable day for me. Like, Diary helps me to remember those fascinating fireworks flashing and lighting, the French sky full of lavender romance, and how bright the Disneyland castle was, and that spectacular view, and this all caused me to miss the train way back home. Yeah, so such positive memories makes your day while you're, for example, getting ready for the exams or have nothing to do while the gray days of winter. Except this, I've found a long forgotten life experience. However, the will pushing me back to read diaries was just to look and laugh at those good old days. One may forget about the life experience according to which we may learn and live, and I'm really thankful to diary for this job. Scientists think that the diary may have a medical effect. Person should just sit down every night and write everything he or she remembers, like who entered the room, what were they wearing, and what did they say, either for women. So this is type of exercise for the brain that scientists think is really important for prevention of the incurable disease Alzheimer's, from which none of us is cured. Well, there's a time for everyone when they just want to take a pen and start writing. Like, personally, I had the will to start writing when I found records of my great-grandfather, even though I never knew him, and yes, my dad was telling me stories about him, and I knew he was a participant of World War II, and that he never talked about it. So with the help of such diary, I could feel like he was talking to me, like I was living with him. So on the old yellowish paper was written of the story of 5th and 6th May. Today, after the hard training, our headquarters at last announced an order we've been waiting for a long time. At last our training was completed, and we're gonna take a part in a real battle. All of us are excited, all of us are happy for a chance for being a hero. But right now we're sitting in the barrack and playing the weapon. Basto and Geno are arguing who's going to be the more heroic tomorrow. The most experienced one among us, Sergeant, is writing a letter to his family. Everyone is joyful. Gift is joking all the time. He was called Gifty for his gift to tell jokes. He tells jokes about core Germans and bragging that he will be honored the first German soldier tomorrow. The surgeon gave an order to sleep. I doubt anybody can sleep. May 6th. At last we reached the barrack. We helped our comrades to wash down the blood and treat wounds. Thanks God everybody's alive. Just Geno was badly injured and is transferred to hospital. We clashed at enemies. Everybody was fighting like a real hero. My right shoulder aches. Nothing serious. It's noisy in barrack. On the one hand, injured people are complaining, other boys are telling each other their heroic stories. Still, strange tension is prevailed. Something's missing. Gifty is sitting quietly. He's not joking anymore and seems to be very sad. Hey Gifty, tell us, how did you skewer that German soldier like a salmon from the Supsa River? I shouted at my childhood friend. He didn't answer. A little bit later, he came to me and said, that poor child was the age of my son. After that, Gifty has never joked anymore. Well, now I know what my great-grandfather thought about the war and what he had been through and why he never talked about it. Now I know who's Gano and Basso and Gifty, I laughed at all his jokes. The real reason why I started to write is I want to be remembered. My great-granddad never died, not for me and not for his descendants. And I want my grandchildren and maybe their children to know me, to remember me. Right, Diaries.